Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am your androgynous AI game show host from the future, Caster.
And I am your amazing agender avian co-host, Ravi the Owl.
And this is the Neon Caster Twitch channel. We are rolling some, well, we're not rolling some dice tonight, actually. You can see from the tabletop simulator that we no dice are involved.
Flipping some dice cards.
But we're doing some tabletop RPGs today, you know, like this channel is supposed to do. We didn't set out to become PokeTubers, but I also enjoy that life for ourselves as well.
PokeTubing was thrust upon us.
What are cards if not 2D dice? Indeed, indeed. I genuinely love cards as a resolution mechanic. Also, thank you very much, Valthek, for the 6 months. You've been hanging out with us for this long. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. Can you please let me know what the audio levels are like? Because we have jams playing in the background. Rafi is doing an excellent job being DJ for this session. Please do let us know what the volume is like, if we're too loud or too quiet across the broad strokes of this. But while you're doing that, Rafi, this is a new game that exists.
It is, and it does. It does not. It almost doesn't exist quite yet, as it is still in development. But that's more on the end of. I'm not expecting grand changes to the writing. Mm-hmm. I am in the stage of, scratching the bottom of my beak about graphic design for the layout and all of that. And also, hey.
I got it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Cool. Let me know. Yes,
Yes, thank you, Valthek. Also trying to, go, hey, maybe I should playtest this. And listen. Sometimes we get to be in our feelings and we get to go, am I truly doing, am I making things of value in this world? And sometimes we get to have confidence and go, I think this is cool. We're going to put this on stream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think, we were having a conversation about this earlier, the specific circumstances of which I won't go into, but it's always I think it's really admirable when people who play tabletop RPGs, especially tabletop GMs, make their first steps in releasing their own games, because I think it's a really good way of crystallizing what you feel, what you enjoy about creating, about dice rolling, or tabletop RPGs in general. And when you're like us who have made a lot of tabletop RPGs now, it's then finding those facets of the experience that you are interested in or otherwise hungry for, and being able to render that out. But it can be quite intimidating to test those things. In fact, I do know some designers that don't test their games at all. I don't really subscribe to that theory, but a really good way of being able to go and play a recorded play of a game. It's a great way of being able to see how the game plays and look back at it later if you want to go make tweaks down the line. Always really, really useful. So thank you, Rafi, for taking the opportunity to put this game in my lap and running it.
My pleasure. Thank you for agreeing to do so, because truthfully, so I was at a crossroads earlier in my life where I studied game development, but video game development in college as a minor. And I, the impatient, impetulant brat that I was, it takes so long and so much, effort to make a game. You can have an idea and you can be like, this idea is cool. Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to spend 1 billion years trying to get this into a playtestable spot. But with RPGs, you can just slap that, if you can think the words and articulate it and put it down, it's ready for playtesting. However, this is the cruel irony. To playtest a video game, you send it to someone and they play it. To playtest a tabletop RPG, you have to organize a lengthy game session with other people. It's like,
Yeah, trying to get, anybody who's watching this both now and in the future will agree that sometimes getting a group of however many people to go and play a tabletop RPG together and carve out some hours of their time to do so can be really difficult. So yeah, given the opportunity to be a playtesting vehicle, I am overjoyed too. Yeah. And if you would also like to be able to go and play this game once it releases, the best way of being able to do that is going to the one Patreon of Will Yule. That's at patreon.com/Will Yule. You can see it up above our heads, but it is also in the chat doobly-doo. You can subscribe at, I think, what is there a particular tier you need to subscribe at to be able to get access to this game once it's out?
If you subscribe at the lowest tier, you will be able to buy it early. And if you subscribe at I think it's the $5 tier, you will just get this game when it releases early. I think it's either that or, yeah. Check the tier details. It's quite likely that, if you are on the $5 tier, you will probably just get this game for free when it comes out, and you will get it a week early.
Nice.
Along with whatever other cool stuff I make between then and now.
An additional plug as to what's going on in our lives before we get into talking about what this game is and playing it. I am currently a part of a crowdfunding campaign for an audio drama called the Technomancy Project. They are currently raising funds to produce a series 2, which I am a character in, and I can't say what character it is because it is a spoiler, but if you are a fan of the particular vocal quality that I have, you'll find that the character is an excellent fit. They have under 15 days left as part of their campaign. They're not quite halfway yet, so any additional money that you can donate towards the arts is always much appreciated. I have placed
Get in there, folks.
a link in chat. I'll probably post a link in the video description of this once it goes up to YouTube for those who are interested. But yes, please do consider supporting us both. And with plugs out of the way, how about you go and tell me what The Beast Has My Heart is about?
Yeah, The Beast Has My Heart is a game, I would say, drawing narrative inspiration from a number of sources. You can, like the film Wolfwalkers, very, very close to my heart. Your Shapes of Water, as they are. But really, I think what this is a game about, as it says, fear, yearning, and forbidden love. We got star-crossed lovers, and really, I think it is Have you ever been in a society and gone, man, wish this wasn't me right now? Well, yeah, same. So, hey.
Escape the space, go beyond.
Escape the space, and see if you can make a connection with something outside of that. And we'll see if it ends in, joy or tragedy, as this game does indeed have the potential to break your heart.
Indeed. Okay, well, you guide us through the process of setup and everything step by step, and we'll make our way in.
Yeah. Let's see. Why don't we take turns reading the different acts and whatnot? I will start by reading setup.
Sure.
Setup. The Beast Has My Heart has 3 possible scene settings: the town, the wild, and the place where the two meet, the outskirts. Using the following tables, each player should pick a different table, draw a card, and use the corresponding suit to describe the setting. So, I'm thinking, why don't I take the town what defines the town, and you can take what the town values the wild for.
Well, sure. I will take one card from the deck. I got a 2 of diamonds. The diamonds in the town values the wild. The town values the wild for its rivers, lakes, and geysers.
What do you think is valuable about those things?
Okay. It immediately, mostly because of where I live in the UK, it immediately makes me think of like canal and transport systems. There are so many towns and cities in England that thrive because they could use the rivers to be able to ship goods across the country effectively. and as that kind of method of transportation. There's a lot of cities that had close networks to like ironworks. You know, they mined iron and materials and then ferried them on the canals and rivers. And then over time, when those mines ran out of material, but those canal systems stayed, even though they were no longer used for their original purposes.
Interesting. Okay, so the water is very much something that is valued for how it can ferry things. Interesting. And I guess the fact that the wild is what possesses these rivers means that I guess the rivers must cut through a lot of undeveloped land.
You know, I feel that it's definitely, there's a mountainous area that the river's coming from, and they go across this land, possibly past the mines where they previously were, and now that's just area's just wild now that it's been empty for however long, and then goes through the town and then out towards the sea. I think we're probably a coastal town.
Ooh, I like this. Okay, well, let's flip over my card and see. The town is defined by... Ooh, the Nine of Hearts. It's classical beauty. And so we can use the how big the number is on it, the card's value, to see how intense, exceptional, or unusual the suit's result is. So this is a pretty opulent town. Very much. Let's see. I mean, as a coastal town, being classically beautiful, I'm wondering if this must have some really remarkable architecture with like, especially if there was a, large mine nearby that I don't know if it is still in operation or not, but there must be, all of that stone and ore coming out.
Yeah, it's a big stone buildings.
Really, do we have some kind of towering buildings over the shoreline?
Yeah, I definitely think maybe this, because there are definitely big coastal towns again in the UK that were like noble areas, not necessarily their main castles or what have you, but they had kind of like big coastal locations where they resided. So there's probably some astounding manor houses or estates that overlook a turbulent and often grey ocean.
Hell yeah!
In better weather, maybe they have kind of tourists come to this town to see this historical architecture, and it's they spend a lot of town money to keep it working. There are some you have like registered or heritage site buildings in the US, yeah, where they're
I'm sure, yeah,
old enough where they need pretty regular maintenance, like they're built from sandstone or something silly. So the modern acid rain actually does an entire number on them, but they can't let them fall apart because they're so historically important. So they spend a lot of time and money kind of keeping them in good working condition for the tourists to come and see them in maybe the summer months.
Now, here's something I'm wondering. Are we thinking of the wild as being the, like, part of the river that goes through the mountain?
Or the ocean itself?
Yeah, we kind of have two directions we can go with this.
That is very interesting.
I'm kind of inclined to go with the mountains because I think the contrast between, the water and the hollowed out stone is quite fun, and the ocean, I think it would be a little, maybe limited our ability to explore that.
Locations, yeah. Unless we go for a whole Little Mermaid kind of space, but I think let's go for the rivers and mountains.
Hell yeah. And okay, what time period also do you think we're going with? Modern day, or maybe like 90s or
Oh, I mean, I like myself a modern day. We can split the difference and say the mid 2000s, and that is actually
yes, Y2K.
where there was a when was like the big economic bubble burst? It was like either
Oh,
just before or
jeez.
just after the 2000, right? It was
Yeah,
literally 2000. Cool. 2008. Okay. Yeah.
2008 was the big recession.
I think we've hit that kind of point where originally the town's main issue was just kind of like, oh, our mine is now devoid of marble and iron, and a lot of people have now left the town to go live elsewhere where there's more prospects of jobs. And but we still managed to keep it going because of tourism, and then the economic downturn, the depression in 2008. And then everybody's like, oh, we can't afford to go on holiday for tourism on seaside towns anymore. And everybody here's like, ooh, that was our only remaining income. Oh no.
Question. So I may be demonstrating a lack of understanding of the topic I'm about to bring up, but we'll roll with it until someone corrects me. Are they trying to like make up for the recession by fracking, especially like around the mountain?
Oh. I mean, yeah, I don't know the finer details of the process of fracking. I think a lot of fracking is actually hitting deep sea places.
True.
But next to the ocean. So
Well,
yeah, maybe there's like a
hitting
big
deep underground.
there's like a big spooky oil derrick like out in the ocean that they've kind of like put together in recent years, and they're trying to dig in there to see if they can find anything.
Yeah, we can go with that. I was trying to think of something that would be like located directly around the mountain.
Okay, no, I understand. Yeah, I can see there also being additional mining efforts. Like, you know, maybe we haven't found everything, and we have modern mining tools now rather than the ones our ancestors used to initially make the mine.
Yeah, going from like, oh, okay, we're going in with pickaxes to being like, we're going to strip mine this. Ooh,
What's that one unit in Manic Miners / Rock Raiders? Chrome Crusher or whatever. Yeah.
God. Okay. Let's move on. I think we've got a pretty good handle on this. How are you feeling so far?
Yeah, no, that sounds good to me. I've got a pretty good gist of that. Shall I do the next paragraph then?
Sure.
The beast has my heart has two roles: the beast and the lost. The beast is a monster from the wild, feared by the town. The lost lives in the town, but struggles to fit in. Each player should choose which role to play, and then draw a card corresponding to their role. Elaborate on the card's result, and consider how it may intersect with what already has been established.
Man, our chat is so smart, and by that I mean Valthek is so smart. I'm glad we have the well-educated brain trust.
The fact checking. I mean, I think this.
Facts.
I think we can definitely have the both. With fracking being coastal, I think we have that platform out in the ocean. We see it on clear days, but it's often pretty hazy this time of year, and other mining efforts are going on the mining side of it. So industry is being built just around the town,
all around us,
desperately trying to find something to put some money back in the economy.
It's regardless of what we want to call it, there's big machines, and it's not making the city look great. But let's see. Yeah, let's draw.
Yeah, we did have a little bit of a conversation previously about who wants to be the beast and wants to be the lost. I feel like I want to be the beast in this instance, which is not what I normally do. I am often will pick a human if humans are available, if robots are unavailable. But let's let out the monstrous side of ourselves this evening.
Hell yeah! Then I shall be the lost.
Do you want to go first, or shall I?
Sure, I'll go first. I am bound by my family. So that's a 4 of hearts. I got a hearts last time. Interesting. As I nervously reshuffle the deck. I definitely already shuffled it, but yeah, I think. Let's see. It's a low card, so it's not, this isn't anything too wild, but I'm thinking Man, oh, do I have like? I think I'm trying to figure out whether I have like a family member that I'm taking care of, or if this is just right now I'm working some real garbage ass job, so I'm living with my family. Um, yeah, let's also think about a name. Man, in terms of garbage ass job, we kind of talked earlier about dead malls off stream, and I it feels appropriate that I am stuck working at a garbage mall.
That sounds fun to me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Name and pronouns. Whew. As I'm looking over my bookshelf, let's go with Avery and
Avery, got it.
Let's go with any pronouns for Avery.
Wonderful. The mall, I think. The mall needs a name.
True. Oh my God, is the mall named? Okay, is the mall named after you?
Oh, I see. Right. Because this is
or like, does it have you as a mascot? Because I'm just thinking about like having the I guess in America we don't really have cryptids in the same way that other countries have cryptids that are a little more, a little more societally, I guess.
Yeah, you'll have cryptids, but where we don't really have cryptids in the UK, we more have the kind of like they nebulously are kind of under the umbrella of the Fae, but different regions of the UK have different kind of like, fairies, beasts, and boggarts that are part of local lore. But yeah, I mean, it feels like it's a something Pines mall. Maybe that's too on the nose or too classic.
I mean, listen, have malls ever made it? The ceiling court for the food court. God, Valthek, your brain is so big and round. Yeah, I feel like you may say, oh, that's such a generic name for a mall, but you need to remember it's a mall. The entire point is trying to be as generic as possible. The maybe the generic Pines Mall. No.
Okay, so we could call it River Pines Mall and have it be the ultimate in kind of like, yep, that is where this mall is.
Yeah, let's go with that for now.
Yeah, River Pines Mall. So Avery works at the River Pines Mall. What particular like shop in the mall?
It's gotta be at like the one remaining anchor store. So like, your
Is there a cinema in the mall?
Oh shit. Oh my God, that's such a good choice. There totally has to be a cinema in the mall that is showing barely anything anymore. Trying to make like, hey, it's Throwback Tuesday. We dug out an old reel.
It is the Life Story Cinema.
Oh,
all
shit,
one word.
Good call.
And what kind of, because obviously they don't show many things, you're probably in a position where you have a bit of control over what movies are shown on certain days. Like the manager is like, yeah, I let my to keep my staff on board. They're like the first like Thursday of every month is like one employee slot of the movies that they get to put on. So what like genre of movie does Avery particularly like to put on at the cinema?
I feel like it's got to be psychological horror. Not like not your Saw. Not slasher flicks, but real. Man, Avery absolutely had a. Oh my God, what is the main character of? Oh man, I'm even forgetting the name of this film. No, it's the problematic fave psychological horror film. That has.
I can think of a couple.
With Hannibal.
Oh right, Silence of the Lambs.
Thank you. Yes. What's the name of the main character of that? Because Avery absolutely had like a roleplay blog as her for like a
Nice.
while.
I've actually not seen that movie, even though I'm a fan
Oh,
of
really?
psychological thrillers. Yeah.
I mean, hey, it has earned its reputation as a being very transphobic,
Oh yeah, yeah, I
even
know
though it waves it off.
that.
But it's
Clarice Starling is the main
mm,
character of Silence of the Lambs.
oh
Thank you,
yeah.
internet.
Listen, I know she made at least one of my friends want to be a girl, and she is now today. Shout out.
Hey, the
But
system works.
the system just works. But yeah, I think really just trying to, if this was later, if this was more recent, absolutely Avery would be trying to pull a Skinmarink screening.
She's ahead of the game. Okay, no, I dig that. I think that gives a lot of impressions of the kind of person Avery is from Jump, their taste in movies. So, just to check, the bound to your family, does this mean that your family is tied up in the mall, or just that you don't have enough of your own money to be able to leave?
Ooh, I was thinking it's the second, but I do also kind of like the idea that I am partially bound to them all because, like, my dad has a major stake in it. I don't think he's the singular owner or anything like that, but definitely, one of the lead managers or something like that. That has me working there partially as a like, hey, come on, help the family out.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. I have, if ready to speak monster.
Go for it, please.
I have the 8 of spades. Spades, rumors say the beast turns people into monsters.
Ooh.
And it being 8 means that this is a pretty well established rumor. I think it's something that happened across the city's history. There's like as part of the part of the tour of one of the tours of this town is kind of like the lore and history of the place, where they kind of talk about how when they were originally mining, they were quite ritualistic because people often died mining, as they do, as as most mines are incredibly unsafe. But it was chalked up to the fact that they were disturbing some kind of deity of nature within the forest, and they were doing these rituals to appease, so as not to be spirited away by the beast within the river forests. And that stopped happening, obviously, well, especially after the mine dried up and there was no more ore to extract. But now that they are fracking out in the sea and going at the mountain again with new diggers, people have started disappearing again.
I kind of want to propose that a number of the original disappearances were like in modern times kind of explained as lack of workplace safety. Someone just got buried and was gone, or didn't fit their harness properly and just fell down a very long hole. And the idea of like, oh, the company can cover it up by stoking the belief in this creature. Well, that must have been what happened. When actually they might have been right the first time. Okay, I quite like this.
Do you have any other questions about the nature of this beast? I'm trying to think about whether the beast is more rock themed or forest themed or river themed. Like, the options are here.
I'm kind of wondering if it's, something between river and rock.
Mm-hmm.
Not thinking like mud monster,
No.
but more thinking a like instead of having blood flowing, it has pure spring water flowing through it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very cold. Uh, yeah. There's also kind of like a thinking about the ideas or themings around crossing and moving across spaces. The people were using the rivers to ferry, things around. And I like the idea of being able to look on this misty winding river at dusk and see a figure on a boat moving along. But canal boats haven't been across that river in ages. It's unsafe.
Mm. Oh
But
man.
there's someone or something traveling the waterways up there, moving to and from the mountain, to and from the mountain.
Does your monster have a name?
Let's see.
I'm kind of digging the like almost kind of psychopomp vibes that I'm getting from being associated with crossing.
I think it's I think the beast is called the Oxbow, rather than it being a first name, like the Oxbow Lake. If you remember your high school geography. For those who do not know, Oxbow Lakes, rivers move over time as they carry silt down the riverway, and that can settle at curves in a river, and then that makes the curve deeper and deeper. And so over time, a river will slowly, in its curves, move more with extremeness to one side. And sometimes, if those bends are too severe, it then becomes the path of least resistance to jump the gap of that bend. And then the silt will instead block up that curve, and then it will become an Oxbow Lake. So
I actually never knew this.
Yeah. So if this is a being that is the confluence of moving water and rock, I think describing a geographic entity that is a lake that can only exist through the passing of time and moving of silt. The Oxbow.
That's very good. This does have me wondering in what way they turn other people into monsters.
I think it is the process of moving, right? The slow, gradual transference from one state to another until you are in a permanent, unalterable state. I think there's lots of different rumors about what that secondary state is. Some conflate it with the myth of the Little Mermaid, or the Hans Christian Andersen story of the Little Mermaid, where she, in an attempt to be human, eventually turns back into just sea foam and drifts away. Maybe there's the idea that, like how they are grinding the mountain for resources, you slowly turn to silt and salt and crumble into dust. Maybe you're just returned to nature and become fresh, loamy soil for new trees to grow. But either way, the transformation is very permanent. You cannot return to what you once were.
Interesting. And I think it's very interesting, the idea of, because it's, and I'm not contradicting you here, when it is, it's not just like killing people, it's turning them into monsters. I feel like there has to be something monstrous about being in this transitory state.
Well, now you are part of the now you're part of the space. You are also, I think, enlisted into keeping the nature of the space. You become hostile ground to industrious change. You become that bedrock that's too difficult to be able to dig through. You
Oh
become
man.
the ground that is unsafe to walk on and is actually sinkholes. You become the trees that are itchy and poisonous and aggravating to skin.
Oh man, that's very interesting. That it's not it's not even you know turning you into another kind of creature. Kind of turning you into like a fey element.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, Valthek, I think that's a great question that we just can't know the answer to because those people aren't able to communicate with us anymore.
You know,
Um,
I wonder if there are people who, at a loss of how to exist in this dying town and what their futures might be, have just wandered into the woods and have never returned. Not because they've died or gotten lost, but because they've become part of the woods themselves.
and I think with that, let's move on to the first act.
I'm going to leave the pronouns question marks for now. I'm going to play to find out.
Yeah, I'm down. Okay. Act 1 takes place in the outskirts. Consider how this place blends the town and the wild. Let's do that before we move on. What do we think the outskirts looks like? I think the river has to be here. I'm wondering if, we are getting into kind of rocky trails. Maybe this is some a bit of a hiking destination. Oh, geez. Is hiking destination almost maybe like urban exploration? This is a something that I've seen in places I've hiked before is like, oh yeah, they used to they used to mine granite here. It might have not been granite, but there would just be these huge blocks of stone overgrown with moss and caked with leaves all around them. And not that I went wandering into any spooky mines or anything, but just a lot of that stuff sits on the surface. And I'm wondering if this is something like that, kind of in said River Pines area, as we're moving away from the coastal comforts and aesthetics of the city into the rockier parts of the mountains, but without, I don't know if the mountains are, well, maybe they're wooded, but I don't think this is quite as extreme, both in the sense of the verticality or in how industrious it is here.
I get you. This is definitely the end of the line for the canal system, at least in terms of what's still open for the public to use. The river and part of the locks that help the water change level are still here, but they're not usable by the public anymore. Yeah, it's the current boats aren't really designed to go this far up the river. And then after a while, it just becomes natural river without the need of the canal boats anymore. So there's almost a kind of like, oh, you have the last bus stop before you leave town. There is a similar kind of canal stop here, and probably some brutalist, like an abandoned multi-story car park, kind of at this point as well, where people were kind of like parking their cars when they were commuting to this point of town to work. And it's just no longer used anymore.
Yeah, I'm very down for this. Okay, each player should draw a card on the table corresponding to their character. Or yes, draw a card on the table corresponding to their character.
Oh, big.
The higher the cards fit. Oh, did it auto flip for you?
No, it put it in my hand, and then I immediately played it. Sorry to jump the gun.
Actually, so this is one of the things is that not all of the tables are completely filled on this one. Most of them are. There's just like 3 cells out of like 24 that are not, and you actually drew one that wasn't filled. So if you want to discard that and then put it in your, put a new one in your hand, since
okay.
Anyway.
Let's pull a new one then. Yeah, I can work with this.
Okay. And let me see what I've got. Okay. Ooh, that's interesting. Okay. Examples. Yes, the higher the card's value, the more extreme their issue. Examples go from less to more extreme. And we'll reveal our cards to each other when our characters are introduced to the scene. We're going to start with me, the Lost. They are faced with a threat that they bring to the outskirts. They find, or are found by, the beast who carries a vulnerability. Explore how they help care for each other's problems, even if they do not solve them entirely. Either player can end the scene by something calling them away. So let's... As the Lost, let's see. I think Avery is out hiking, and I think this is a hike that Avery has done before with kids, or not with kids, but as a kid, with friends. But I think they packed more for that, and everything was probably in better shape back then too, as my threat is of the body, that kind of high. I'm thinking that this Avery probably brought a water bottle and maybe like a snack bar. The snack bar was eaten on the boat up here, and the water bottle is pretty much completely gone. And yeah, to describe what Avery looks like, I'm thinking of like medium length wavy hair, kind of pale from sitting in a freaking mall all day long, especially in a cinema. You ain't getting any sun in a cinema. I'm definitely got big round glasses. Probably like, oh, this person's totally in flannel, and I think Avery is probably like 25, maybe.
Do you
maybe
have a
24.
big, like, thick knit beanie?
Oh, I do now. Yeah, and I think Avery is pretty deep down what, I don't even know if this was a trail anymore. Like, was this where we went as kids? This might just straight up be a deer path. And I think they're pooped. Really, not feeling too hot. Let's say what season do we want it to be?
I think it's either spring or autumn, so fog is likely.
Ooh, good call. Okay, I think if fog is likely.
Yeah.
I also like the idea that they're getting kind of chilly. So yeah, we'll
well,
I think Avery goes and probably sits down on a rock
and looks out
just kind of,
over the town, huh?
Oh, I don't think you can see the town from here.
Not anymore.
I think at this point, I don't know if the elevation is high enough that you can, when you're at the mountains, of course you can see the town, but here, maybe right here in this specific point, Avery thought, I'll get to a high point so I can orient myself. And they're looking out on the town and a little afraid of how far away it is.
In fact, with the fog starting to roll in at this time of day, most of the town that you've known for all of your life is actually relatively indistinct, dreamlike. In fact, the only thing that still really seems to have any concrete form is the oil platform out in the ocean. A permanent black mark, like a permanent ink, sitting on an otherwise picturesque photo. In fact, you remember a similar photo of this view from your childhood on a postcard. that a relative gave you. And in some ways, the town has changed a lot. And in other ways, the town has not really changed very much at all.
Yeah, I think Avery, looking out, holds up a thumb to just cover up the oil rig in their vision and try to pretend that it's not there. But in doing so, they also, I think, no matter how they're positioning their hand, they're either covering up the skyline or, part of where their house is. Really, if you take that away, you got to take something else away too.
It was misty already, like it was spitting, but now it's actively raining. Do you have a rain jacket, or is it just your flannel?
Oh man, it's just my flannel. I think it's probably I don't think I have a rain jacket, but I do think I have a hoodie.
Mm-hmm.
So I flip the hood up, purse a little bit, and turn back to go see if I can find some trees or some shelter to sit under.
Mm-hmm. There is, in fact, I think, a rest stop, not like a proper big building, but a kind of an awning and shelter. It looks like it would be a bus stop if it was on flat ground, but it's definitely there's no buses that would run up here. It's just a place to be able to sit, but it's out of the rain. It's also pretty heavily graffitied.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Mm-hmm. In fact, there are huge, like industrial-sized tubs of paint. This kind of unpleasant, greeny beige, like not white, that's sitting here. One of them is spilt over, and there's a long, long trail that kind of drags away from this place. Like, you think about some of those movies that you play in the cinema, and somebody killing somebody else and dragging them away, leaving a bloody trail underneath. But, in slate green.
So I guess that'd have to be like a goblin getting killed or something. But I think Avery turns and looks at the graffiti, and it's kind of buried under other tags that have been left, but there's something that she left with her friends when they came up a long time ago. Oh man, it's totally got to be like they all drew little monsters on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a couple of those kind of like a bug-eyed gray alien style. There's a chupacabra, or what, you remember a chupacabra supposed to look like from Saturday morning cartoons.
We also gotta have a Jersey Devil on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. We got some good picks on here. Someone throughout the years added a Flatwoods monster on there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, Avery is looking very, very closely at this. Soggy, tired, great time to be surprised. But, of course, if you want, unless you were thinking maybe having them follow where the paint went.
Yeah, I think you look out at okay, with the lineup of monsters, there's one here that you don't remember. It must have been added in later on. It almost looks like somebody abstractly threw paint at the wall rather than doing a doodle, and it just kind of dripped into the shape of a recognizable figure. but it seems thin and tall, and it's hard to tell whether it's kind of a hooded shape or if it literally is a figure enshrined by a hood. But the top of this like silhouette is rounded and drooping, like it's covering a body underneath, like a raincoat, which you super do not have. And you glance back
Looking at this,
yeah, go ahead.
Looking at this is both enthralling, or very, very curious, and also makes Avery feel even soggier.
Mm-hmm. You glance back at the trail of paint, and well, maybe it was you entertaining the notion from the movies, but it takes a turn to the right into the brush.
Yeah. Avery was first wondering if this just tipped over and just kind of ran down the side of the trail or something. But now looking at it, this is not just following the geometry of space here. So I think Avery's curious. I sure hope this didn't run into the river, and is going to get up and start to follow it.
Mm. You don't get very far until you see an end to the trail. It stops by what looks like a pile of rocks and moss near a tall tree, and just beyond that, a small lake. The trail of paint actually stops underneath the pile of rocks. And as you stare at the scene, are the rocks moving? Breathing? Oh, so slightly.
Avery takes a step forward, thinking maybe something got buried in the rocks. Maybe someone needs help.
You get closer, and to your surprise, maybe your horror, you see a hand, an arm extending from underneath the rocks, like stretched out forward like it was trying to grab something and didn't succeed. Gray. Rough. Like it's a corpse or stone. Small rivulets of water beading across the back of the hand and across the stones, almost like sweat. Flecked with that nauseating grey-green paint.
Oh shit. That is a very high value for that. Yeah, Avery takes a step back and thank you, Valthek, and looks over this, and it's this is alive. I think Avery puts a hand on one of the stones very, very gingerly. What happens?
There's give to it. Not that the rock is soft. It's more like there's something underneath it. It's a layer. And what is underneath has give, is organic. The unexpected texture makes you pull your hand back, and there is streaks of this paint on it. In fact, you can see in the gap, now that you're really close, in the gaps between the stones, rivulets of water are filled with this paint, like it's polluting whatever this is. the strange grey arm from underneath this mound stretches feebly towards the lake, so close and yet so far. Well, it's more of a pond, honestly.
I think Avery barely understands what's going on, but Avery's never liked this paint. They're going to go and, I think, oh man. They take off their, I think we get a back shot as they take off their hoodie, flannel, and they had like a band t-shirt from middle school that still fits them, and they take that off, put the other shirts back on, and then go down to the pond to soak the shirt before coming back to try to scrub off some of the paint.
It takes a number of trips. The pond water doesn't seem to be especially clean. It's riddled with silt, but it does remove the paint little by little.
And I think, like, at first, you know, Avery comes over with the sopping shirt, hands trembling, and like putting the shirt against the stone with the paint on it and waiting to see what the reaction is.
I think the stones move slightly on first contact and then settle. Passive. Is it like trying to pretend to be inert? But you know it's alive. You saw it breathe. It rasp. I think some time passes, I guess, as you continue to slowly remove bits and pieces of the paint. And the rivulets of water, I mean, it's raining, but there isn't enough rain to be able to kind of have this constant flow moving around the rocks and moss here. But in time, it starts to run clear. And
I think Avery's shivering by this point.
Yeah. The stones slowly move. The body of this turns, and you get a look at what is underneath this disguise. A grey humanoid figure, like you remember reading about like ancient civilizations at school and like early cave drawings that represent human figures, but almost in symbolic rather than in literal. This is definitely a humanoid form, but the face in particular, the eyes are wrong. Instead of the almond-shaped horizontal of each eye, they are vertical and have each of them, instead of an eyeball, a hunk of dark glass. Oh no, you know what that is. That's obsidian. You've heard of that before. And running behind it into the lower grooves is a constant gentle trickle of water, like it's crying, always crying.
Oh, buddy.
The figure slowly gets up and with slow steps makes its way to the pond and sits meditative, cross-legged on the surface of the pond, and is very slowly descending. This thing is too tall to sit in the pond as it does, but it's still
I was
sinking.
gonna ask how tall this thing is.
I think at full height, as tall as the tree it managed to like get next to before it failed to get any further. And it is in this rather shallow, quite small pond, slowly sinking. It stares at you as it continues to sink.
Avery stares back and I think holds up a hand. Their hand is trembling, and it's not just shivering due to the cold. Avery has gone, like, all of the blood has drained from their face at this point. Yeah, they raise the hand as a, I guess, sign of recognition and farewell.
The figure extends its arm towards you and turns its simplified stone palm upwards, and it stopped raining? No, it's raining. You can see it, but you're not feeling the insistent pitter-pat of the rain on your skin. And you look up, and there is a perfect circle above you where the clouds have cleared.
I think that's probably where we gotta... Oh, man. And does the oxbow continue to sink?
I think so. It clears it clears above you, and then if you don't say anything and just watch, I think it just sinks into the earth, into the pond, until there's nothing there.
I think I feel like, you know, Avery's trying to figure out what's going on with the rain, then like looks up at the sky, sees the perfect hole in the clouds, stares, just trying to piece all this together, then looks back down, and it's gone. There's just a ripple in the pond. And I think that's where we're going to end the first act.
Okay.
Ooh, man. I'm into this so far. This is good content.
Thank you to all the people who have joined us as we've been going. Sorry, responding to the chat a little less when we're mid-story, but we hope you're enjoying it so far.
Absolutely. Thank you all for being here. Okay. Shall we get into Act 2, if you'd like to read that out?
Act 2. Reunion. In Act 2, the Lost and the Beast arrange to meet again in the privacy of the wild. Consider how different the wild may look to the Lost and the Beast. The Lost and the Beast both bring each other a gift. Each player should draw a card on the table corresponding to their character. The higher the card's value, the more dramatic or significant the gift is. Reveal your card to the other player when you present your gift. All right. I will draw a card. I kind of want to know what happens in the intervening day or days where you have to return to some normalcy.
Yeah. Oh, man. I think I am... Man. It's a good question. I think Avery probably stayed out way past when they said they would be gone, and so when he returns, it's, a lot of oh geez, missed his shift, and now someone had to make up for him in an emergency, so now he has been stuck at work super hardcore, kinda in the doghouse with that, and just just been so quiet. I think I think Avery has some friends at the cinema who also work there. But it has been kind of heartbreaking realizing that, like, I can't tell them about this. Actually, Avery might, and they don't understand. They think this is like Avery. I thought you said you weren't going to do that again.
I know you're really into your like movies and stuff, but you've clearly just been staying up too late. I hope you weren't trying to like watch movies when you really should be helping out. I get that you want to stay on curve of all the stuff that's coming out or whatever, but we do need you here.
Yeah. Jeez, Avery, come on! Don't tell me you were like you can't afford that kind of stuff, man. Jeez. One of the coworkers absolutely thinks Avery was just totally out of their gourd. So it hasn't been a great couple days, but I think Avery's day off is the next day off is coming, and Avery is planning to trek to the mountain.
I think the night before, it's late. You're in your bedroom of your family house, and you actually have a view of the canals from your house. And there is a boat out on the water, and you're like, oh, the tour canal boats don't run this late. But it's the wrong size, and the figure on the boat definitely is also much larger than normal. And you see it just kind of like drift from the ocean up towards the mountain. In that direction, I mean, you don't necessarily follow it the entire way, but that shadowy figure on the river just moves past slowly, inexorably, until it's out of sight.
I think at this point I remember I think my grandfather was one of the miners from back in the day, but maybe my great-grandfather. Yeah, I think great-grandfather might make more sense. He didn't disappear, but he told my grandfather all the stories of the people that did. I think I might have heard of the Oxbow before, and I'm wondering. I need to go find out if it's true. Okay, let's. Would you like to read the? Yeah, I think you did read it. So let's draw some cards.
I've already drawn my card.
That.
Yeah.
I see. Ooh, interesting. Oh man, let's see. Okay. How do we want to start this scene?
I think how do you decide to go in the middle of the night, or do you go on a day off?
Totally. At this, I think I'm wondering if like part of the tales was that it was easier to find the Oxbow. You know what? I think I do go at night because as much as I said I was going to wait until my next day off, those days off probably got obliterated because I skipped like a major shift. So I got to go now. And fuck up another shift.
You know, you follow the river up, having seen this figure on the river, and this is a different path to the one that you took on your initial encounter. This one goes wide around the other side of the hills towards the mountain. And you do actually see a boat. Wooden, old, really old. Covered in moss, but still fully intact, well made. And two figures get off the boat and walk towards a plateau on this part of the kind of hillsides.
Mm. And they're far enough away that I can't make out who or what they are.
Not until you get closer.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be slowly, surely moving closer. I don't know if this place, I feel like maybe there's some... Are we lit by anything but the stars and the moon?
Oh yeah, I think this is entirely in moonlight. Of course, it's a full moon. In fact, it has to be a full moon. That makes perfect sense.
That's
and it's
why I'm
clear
coming tonight.
today. You move towards the plateau. There's a clearing here. You know, sometimes the kind of like teens like to do their bits of underage drinking away from the town out here. They tend to leave a lot of trash. It's cleaned up though. Definitely not by them. Clearly somebody has to come up here and pick it all up. But the two figures, and you actually recognize both of them. One is the rock entity from the pond, the oxbow. And the other is, you know them as, I think, Old Chris. They are one of the unhoused who lives in town. Apparently a bit of a tragic backstory. Their family was in a circumstance where they actually had a lot of, a solid amount of money. And the way that the economy fell, a lot of debts were accrued by other family members, and they didn't have any money to pay off those debts, and so debt collectors took the house. And he's never really recovered from that. He had some kind of clerical job before. You didn't know him before his current state. They stand together on the plateau and stare at the moon for a while. Then Old Chris turns to the oxbow and says, "I'm ready, I guess." The oxbow turns back to the man and extends a hand, and you see water emerge from the form of the oxbow, then trickle down the joints and gnarls of the stony arm like rivulets, and then leave its hand and glide through the air smoothly into the man's mouth. He stares, mouth agape, surprised, his eyes flickering, looking wildly around in shock, but maybe seemingly unable to move. You definitely can't scream.
Avery isn't moving an inch. I don't even think Avery is breathing.
Eventually, the sound of running water, distant streams come to an end, and old Chris stands there and rapidly starts to pat at his body like something is amiss, like something he's reasserting his sense of self. This was supposed to change. It was supposed to be a way out. I wanted a way out. I don't understand. I don't. the Oxbow, without saying anything, turns and gestures towards the hills and the mountain in the distance. I, well, okay. I'll go then. Thank you. And old Chris turns and starts walking towards you to leave the plateau.
I'm going to, I think, try to shift behind a tree to not be seen by old Chris. I think partially out of shame. As a kid, I think I probably said some pretty cruel things to him. And partially because I don't know what's going to happen to him.
As he walks closer to you and by you, he's so shaken he doesn't really notice that you're standing there. But he walks not with footsteps, but with the rustling of leaves. And in fact, his hair, it's long and wavy like reeds of grass. Yeah, that's how you'd word it. Reeds of grass.
Part of me wants to run, but I think about my backpack that I've got slung on, certainly packed better this time than last time, and I press on nonetheless, and go to approach the Oxbow at the dock.
The Oxbow continues to stare at the moon until the sound of your footsteps on the stone of the plateau. And I think the movement is actually quite swift. The body turns round, the arms extend wide, so wide. It feels like you could run and run and run and those arms would still catch you. The eyes, the chunks of black obsidian look like the brightest headlamps, even though they are solid black, as they stare at you.
I freeze.
I think we both
Just
stare at each other for a while. This partial tree, partial statue, partial, well, you've heard one of your colleagues at work describe a sleep paralysis demon, and you didn't get it, but...
You know, I think Avery has always been especially annoyed by people in the theater who yell at the protagonist to run. And in this moment, I think they are hearing... It's like they're hearing audience members, you know, echoes of theater goers yelling at them to run. But much as the men and women on screen do not, neither does Avery. They just stand there frozen.
The hand of the Oxbow moves round towards you, and slowly, inexorably, like you're noticing every detail of this movement in slow motion, water once again begins to trickle down its arm, slowly winding around the knots and twists. The water leaves the palm and starts to move through the air towards you.
I think Avery seeing the oxbow draw closer and move in ways that I can't fully understand goes for their backpack and I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What is something that the one moment. What do you think is something that the tales of the oxbow say that is something that, like, what are the rituals used to appease it?
Hmm.
Because I brought a comfort for the oxbow, but I don't know what would bring it comfort. But I think Avery might.
I think there was stuff like standing stones, like markers left
Mm.
of flat stones carefully gathered from areas to mark places that are. Oh well, at this point, the stories get a bit vague whether those areas are sacred or whether they are dangerous. Um, they are placed carefully and usually with like scraps of seeds or berries for birds and mice nearby.
Mm. Okay.
In one instance, you once heard a story of a one of the people in town having a very polluted lake near them that they were very distressed by because they wanted to build a bug hotel, if you're familiar with those. It's kind of like wooden structures with lots of narrow bits and crevices for bugs to be able to sit inside. Really good for stuff like bees and beetles.
Oh, okay.
And weirdly enough, once that was set up near the lake cleared of its impurities. And, well, the insect like wildlife thrived.
Yeah, I think I like the idea that Avery. This is like it's it may be in some way a little slapdash in the sense of bringing out there was some bird seed pilfered from a bird feeder uh, and oh man, some trail mix too that they brought from the concession stand and a bunch of cool rocks that they've been collecting ever since they were a kid. But specifically, as you said, the flat rocks, hoping to, arrange them in a hurry at the in the pier or on the plateau.
Hmm. So, what do you pull from your bag? All of it?
Oh, all of it. Trying to assemble it very hastily, unsure whether you'll even understand what I'm doing
Hmm.
until it's there. I'm just hoping that I can I can do this to I guess demonstrate respect.
Mm-hmm. You do so, and I think as you start to pull stuff from your bag, the flow of water and the arm hesitate, lingering impossibly in the air. And with your act complete, the water brushes by the side of your face, pushing strands of hair out the way and running by your ear. And in the sound of gently running water, you hear a voice. days ago, managed to purge the toxins that riddled my form.
I mean, I tried. I think you've still got some flex on you, but yeah, I mean, I remembered you too. It'll be hard to forget.
I've brought an offering.
Yes. And Avery takes 2 steps back as if to avoid threatening it.
It was unsure whether that was a statement or a question.
Also, one bit of rules for this. Every time the Lost and the Beast touch, we draw a card and place it in the middle of the table face up.
Mm-hmm.
We add their total value together. Aces are worth 1, Jack, Queen, King are worth 11 each time. As their total approaches 30, the pressures of the outside world mount. Bring everything established in the setup, especially the beast's rumors and what binds the Lost, to bear. When the value exceeds 30, 2 must leave. The pressure is too high. We take all cards off the table and reshuffle them into the deck.
Mm-hmm. Go flip that card.
Yes.
I guess I technically touched
You
as
did,
the.
yeah. So let's see. That is a. Oh.
This may
That's
be a short meeting.
It may be. We'll see. Okay. So. Yeah, I think you're. With that touch, I step back and the dampness that left around the side of my head, I think has me, I think a cloud passes by the moon, and as the light fades for a brief moment, I just think about how tired I'm going to be tomorrow and how furious my father is going to be if I miss another shift. And
the residue or the feeling sensation left behind of the water touching your side of your face, not cold, strangely enough. There's a ringing warmness to that touch, strangely. The oxbow once again sits in a meditative position in front of the offerings that you have laid. There is the sound of distant birds, the sound of rocks settling, the sound of a river flowing, and slowly all sorts of beetles and mice and birds kind of skitter from the brush, the trees on the edge of this plateau to poke at and eat the seeds and berries you have left. And the oxbow just watches them eat.
I think Avery smiles as she kind of wonders, it's a silly idea, but maybe these offerings are not. Maybe the oxbow just likes these creatures and enjoys watching them, congregate and feed, flourish a bit before they scatter.
The twittering of the birds comes laden with a voice. You enjoy the wilds. The freedom of nature.
Yeah, it's kind of feels like the only freedom I have. But
it is rare for your kind. I have watched the people of the town enshrine themselves in steel and then be surprised that they feel trapped. Occasionally, on seldom occasion, I see an individual who turns to the stones, to the trees, to the river, to find freedom. And I oblige. There is an imperceptible shift of the stony face, and you can tell that the oxbow is staring off into the thicket where old Chris wandered off to. It desired freedom.
Don't know if I'm ready for that. It's what happens to you? What happened to him? Avery is stepping closer, moving around the. I think the tribute has now pretty much been
Consumed.
So Avery is going to go stand at the end of the plateau.
The gentle clinking of the rocks in the standing stones you've placed echo a voice. It has returned to nature, a commitment to protect what remains of this space. It considers it a valid purpose in life after spending long searching and failing to find one. But if you do know how to speak to those who have given themselves to the earth, they shall surely help you in any endeavors. And then one day, you might be inclined to give yourself in kind. I play a spade of curiosity. The beast brings a human, friend, help. You feel like you have been blessed or maybe burdened with terrifying information. That there is a consciousness within this land, many consciousnesses.
I think Avery looks up at the mountain that just has like a real noticeable like gash in it.
There's a big concrete fabricated wall around that side of the mountain, and there's the sounds of drilling and crinkling and grinding at sometimes quite unpleasant hours. It's not so loud when you're in town, but up here you can definitely tell when they're working late at night.
Can they feel that?
They don't realize that they are, in a way, destroying their own. But I suppose we all push back against the iron that your kind pushes into us.
And can you feel that? Can you feel what they're doing?
It is echoes. A constant hum through the earth. A natural pathway, forcibly diverted, contorted, made into an object. You hear, despite being a reasonable way from the river now, the river pick up speed like rapids knocking against rocks. And you think about how to make a functional canal near the base of the river, they had to clearly divert it from whatever path it was on and build a manual river instead.
Is the oxbow close enough that I can reach out and touch it?
It has not moved, so you absolutely can approach.
Yeah, I want to just lay a hand on it as... Damn, what a bummer.
And you feel it, right? You feel in the same way that if you put your hand over somebody's scar, you can feel it there, even if you don't necessarily see it. That there has been damage that has been healed over time. And maybe you did notice it when you were cleaning the body of the oxbow in the past, but you definitely notice it now. All of these rocks are composite, not purely hewn from the earth, but combined, broken fractures recombined into a new whole. The sound of drills echoes far away.
It's a 7. So we're at 18 out of 30.
Over halfway.
I'm curious. The first one threatened to pull me away. I'm curious if... Does anything about this touch threaten to pull you away? Is the thinking of the beast's rumors, what binds the lost? You know, everything is fair game for what can
I
bring us
think
apart.
you feel like the hair on the back of your hand stand up and a small spot appears on the back of your hand, and you realize with surprise that it is a small patch of moss. Just with this brief contact, you could just be something else.
Avery pulls away. Wait, I'm not ready yet. You
say that, but it seems your form is willing to change. Pliant. Like loamy soil, ready to grow anew.
You're asking me to leave everything behind.
There is like a sigh of the wind moving through the space. Again, not cold.
Old Chris. I don't know if he had anything left. Anyone left. But... this has to be more than a last resort. Right?
Nature will continue to persist through your own journey. invitation of change to those who are ready to metamorphise.
Here's a proposal. I'm kind of liking the idea of Avery turns away but doesn't start to walk away. And I'm curious if the Oxbow would reach out to them again.
Mm-hmm. I think you turn away to the tree line, and a big gust of wind picks up behind you and catches your coat. And it's not harsh wind, but yet it has such force that it blows you into the air.
Oh, wow.
And you see the stretch of the river and the trees and the base of the mountain stretch before you. You turn behind you and see the town and the oil derrick deep in the ocean. Permanent black mark. They pierce us with steel, it said. Even though I think the Oxbow is not physically touching you like with a stone, I think this counts as it lifting you up into the air.
Yeah. Go ahead and draw a card.
Sure, I will do that. Well. So that puts us at 24?
Yes, I believe so. Very close.
You look down at the town and see that there are lights. And they are moving about in a way where they are clearly flashlights, not like a car or a building.
Oh god, people are looking for me. I think as I'm kind of picturing I'm like falling quite gently, you know, this is drifting almost like a leaf down.
The silt is barely disturbed as your Converse touch the ground once again.
Oh, I was going to wonder if I fall into the Oxbow's arms.
Oh, sure. Yes. You descend into the Oxbow's arms on the river. It has moved supernaturally fast through the space. This is their domain. They can be wherever they need to be as long as they are not infected. And you sit on the river. Oh, yeah.
I think with that, it lets me out of its arms, and I just breathing very deeply. I need to go. It's too late. And Avery turns to run home. Does the Oxbow have any? Yeah, go ahead.
Your breath is filled with the scent of wildflowers, of apple blossom, of honeysuckle. Entirely out of season, and yet you remember these feelings, the summers you've spent on the hillside, stepping away from the ancient walls of your town. The woods aren't silent. They're never silent. There's always the rustling of grass or the movement of water or the quiet chirps and hums of the animals that live within it. So even though there is no vocal reply from the Oxbow, you hear it all around you. Or maybe you hear the others who have transformed, beckoning to you about the life that you could be leading instead, when you're ready.
And I think with that, we're going to end Act 2. Oof, man. Okay. Let's see, as we are going to move on to the final act, Act 3, Crisis. I will reset the deck. And hey, that's you too, buddy. Would you like to...
Of course.
Read it for us.
Act 3, Crisis. In Act 3, the Lost and the Beast meet for what may be the final time. Both players draw a card to see where the scene takes place. If the Lost has a higher value, it takes place in the town. If the Beasts, the wild. And if they have equal value, the outskirts. Consider the following, but do not speak the answer. How are you changing? What are you willing to fight for? What are you willing to lose? The pressure between the town, the Lost, and the Beast has hit a fever pitch. Something must break. Either the bond between the Lost and the Beast, or the chain tying the Lost to the town. Both players draw a card and place them together side by side. I guess that's later. So, shall we first see where the scene takes place and then continue with the text? There we go. All right.
Okay. Ooh, this takes place in the town. Interesting. Okay. Oh man, thinking about, like, are you going to turn up in the boat again in town?
I think so.
And I don't think that you are the, I don't think I'm the only one that notices by any means. Let's see.
In the intervening period of time, I think you notice where the plants are in your town. Like, oh, I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm still here.
There we go. I was your voice reactive was moving, but I wasn't hearing your voice. But you're back. I think you notice where the plants are in your town. There is a creeping vine on the side of, like, the bus station, or the trees near the mall feel thicker and denser than they were in the past. You are hyper aware of the small patches of nature that still exist within the space of stone slabs and concrete that make up the only place you've ever known. In the past, when the River Pines Mall was doing well, there was a promenade area that overlooked the canals and riverside, and had all sorts of stalls and gardens and attractions to encourage outside celebrations and dining. No one really sets up shop there anymore, and definitely not at this time of year as we're autumn moving into winter. But it is the closest to water that the River Pines Mall is. Maybe ironic considering the name of the building.
Yes, I'm wondering if... Man. I think I wasn't the only person to see the Oxbow in the first place, and there's been talk in town over the intervening days.
There's been a kidnapper. There's been like the local newspaper has been talking about a suspicious activity and people being kidnapped.
Ooh, yes.
And so the neighborhood watch is on high alert for any mysterious vanishings.
I think, let's see. Yeah, with this, it's got to be that, like, I have been thinking about this, and at first I was just, actually, you know what? Let's, it's considering, it said consider the following, but do not speak the answer. In terms of how are you changing, what are you willing to fight for, and what are you willing to lose? I think those answers will have to come out and play. But absolutely, I think having this take place at the promenade with the oil rig looming ever closer. Okay, let's see. Let's put these to the Okay, yes.
So both players draw a card and place them side by side, and then discuss how the established pressures are boiling over.
Okay, I think we did that. Well, I guess this is separate. Let's put ours back in the deck and reshuffle.
Please. There we go.
I think we've discussed, so we can just put them to the side and then flip and see.
So this way? Yeah, there we
go. Okay, that's big cards. The tension is high, and I think here's my point of curiosity. How is this tying into trying to get the I feel like this must somehow be related to increased it must be somehow related to the mining efforts or the oil rigging.
You know, I think we get a shot from inside the mall. There is a late night showing of some of a movie. I think we're going to be this is like 2008. Yeah. The Devil Wears Prada. I think that's roughly around the kind of time period. Somebody's going to tell me that that's the wrong year, whatever. And not many people are going, but one of the people who is currently in the concession stand buying popcorn from you is one of the miners, Alex. She has long, like, red hair that she keeps tied up in a very tight bun so she can, get a helmet over it. Even though she's not at work now, she's wearing pretty filthy overalls. You wonder how many kind of spare pairs of clothes she has. And as she's fishing around in those overall pockets to produce a $5 note to pay for the popcorn, she stops. And there's a breeze in here. There isn't usually. Oh. I guess never mind about the popcorn. I need to go. I think I'm ready. And she turns and starts to leave.
I think like one of Avery's coworkers is like, all right, have a good night. And Avery looks far more concerned and follows after her, but doesn't stop her because she might lead to the Oxbow.
You walk through the mall, and it's almost as if she knows where exactly she needs to go. She's not looking around. She's walking assuredly towards a single destination, and you follow her out of the mall and to the promenade, and waiting on the riverside in a boat immaculately made but covered by moss is a shadowy figure. I'm ready. There's nothing here for me on that blasted mountain. I need to leave. I can't do this anymore. I fucking can't.
And I think to crystallize the thread, it's at this point that coming out from the mall are a lot of other miners and rig workers who, you know, one of them shouts, "Hey, she's over here!" And they all come running out and see the oxbow, and I think they are briefly, like, they have run a good bit ahead of Avery. Avery was keeping her distance, but now the this crowd has gathered, and they all know the stories. At least I think most of them. As an older one of them starts shouting at the oxbow,
and it looks back at all of them with its baleful obsidian eyes, gentle rivulets of water trickling down from them, always crying.
So I think I'm willing to call me coming out of the theater
An increase in tension, sure.
it is, whoops, I wasn't supposed to go there. Every time we fight against the threat to come together, we draw one card and place it face down in the center of the table. So when we have 3 cards here, then we'll see how the crisis resolves by flipping them over, and if the cards in the middle are greater than the 2 cards we have over here, well, we'll see which bond breaks, you know. Let's okay. Yeah, I think
one of the miners, not carrying a gun or anything like that, but I think has maybe a spanner on them, runs past Alex, yelling, "Get out of here, we don't need you. We don't want to see you here ever again." And as the man reels back with the spanner, the oxbow moves swiftly, exiting the boat, reaching out those long, inescapable arms and planting a hand firmly on the miner's chest, pushing him backwards and into the floor. And the moment that the man hits the floor, he explodes into butterflies.
Oh shit. I think a lot of the not just men, but a lot of the workers step back, and some of them start shouting much more violently and taking out other things and going to try to throw them at you. And Avery's going to run and grab, grab a crowbar out of one of their hands, or grab their wrist before they can throw it, and which is necessitating moving closer to you.
Do you get injured in the scuffle with all these people there?
I think I have to. I think the man turns back and shoves me, and I fall down on my tailbone pretty hard.
Maybe because it's like, concrete outside. Maybe you graze a bit. You skid a bit.
Yeah, totally. I also think as I was trying to grab the stopping the crowbar, Avery screams at them, begging them not to hurt you.
And I think on reaction of seeing you hurt, they say it's if you've ever seen a boat capsize in a river or like be hit by rapids, it's very quick. One moment they're upright, and then the second the boat is upside down or broken, and the person in the boat is drowning. And like a flood of water bursting forth, the oxbow closes the gap between the river and where you all are on the promenade. And the hand reaches towards your face, your arm, whatever's been kind of grazed by the concrete, and surrounds it. Finding an opportunity, some of the miners are now trying to hit the oxbow in the back, finding plates of stone, solid but not impenetrable. You hear the kind of crack of a stone being cleaved into.
Would you like to draw the final card? And then we'll reveal and see how this story ends.
The water that covers your skin bubbles, and you feel that wound being healed or changed, rather. All right.
Okay, let's do it one by one. So we need to, if there's going to have if the total of these 3 cards is greater than 19, then my bond with the town breaks and I'm free of it. If it's less, my bond with the beast breaks and I may never see it again.
All right. 11.
That is 11. Wow, 22. And oh my god. I think I see them going and man, yeah, I get up and I just take a running start at the group of them. I had a little distance made since I got shoved back, and I think I tackle a couple of them off the pier, and I feel like you come with me.
I think you watch as the one person that you tackle hits the water and immediately starts dissolving into sea foam. As you look at your hand where the oxbow heals that wound, and you see it sparkled with quartz interwoven into the skin. Slowly and inexorably, almost ignoring the damage that the miners, the ones that still want to try and fight after watching two of their kind vanish before their eyes. The Oxbow steps back onto their boat, covered in moss. They stand and wait as Alex gets on, and then the Oxbow looks into the river where you are.
Yeah, I think I absolutely pull myself out of the river almost weightlessly to join her and the Oxbow.
A fog rolls in, the thickest that the town has seen in years. And so suddenly, they stumbled around in confusion for an hour before the fog cleared. But there was no sign of Alex, of that awkward 20-something who worked at the cinema, or of the two workers that they swear they saw vanish into nature. They sent out hunting parties for you. A good 3-4 days. And occasionally, a member of your family or one of your friends goes up to the hillsides, to the mountains. They're not really looking for you now anymore, but it reminds them of you. In particular, a landmark they don't remember, but it brings them peace every time they visit it. What is it?
You know, I think there's a tree, we'll say a willow tree near that pond from the first act. And this is a very large willow, very pronounced bend to it, that has spread out a number of other willows, including one that it rests near that kind of rest stop that I sat at earlier. And as time passes and that landmark, of these willows becomes a spot that the friends I used to have, and in a way still do, find comfort at, I think there are more drawings and more messages left on the concrete there.
The mining continued for a while, but the workplace accidents just continued to happen. They really found it difficult to find peace out in those hills. But eventually, everybody changes at some point in their lives after all.
And I think we might end that there.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Very fucking good.
Woof, man. Oh, man. Yeah.
Not a laugh riot comedy for the last 2 hours.
No. But I gotta say, let me transition us off of this as we wrap up and enter the Yeah, talking about it afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I did not think that this was going to be like I knew. Oh, there's absolutely potential for a heartbreaker ending, um, but that's when the cards are, you know, the heartbreaker ending is when the lost and the beast are separated, right? Right.
Not like
And
immediately and consistently throughout. Mm-hmm.
oh man, so yeah, this is a very fun spin on putting my expectations on their head. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I was like, part of my brain, like the multiple gears of storytelling in my brain were kind of like, okay, maybe we can get this to like monster fucker territory. And then I was like, it's made of rocks and has obsidian lumps for eyes and it's always crying. No, can't fuck that. Nobody would want to fuck that. You can't.
You can hug
Well,
it.
somebody out there probably does want to fuck that, but I didn't. I felt it would be disingenuous.
Yeah, hey,
to
if you're out there in chat, leave a comment on the YouTube VOD, or send a tweet at the Neon Caster if you want to get your body rocked.
Yeah. Yeah. No, question for the YouTube video, for the YouTube comments. If you got this far, thank you for watching the entire video. But also, yeah, what monster would you want to go and smooch in this tabletop RPG? Question of the day. God. Yeah. No. I guess I was concerned. Not for the game, but for myself as a performer who doesn't really do romance much at all in the stuff that I do. Like I was like, okay, we can get tenderness there and work within the mechanics for that. Hopefully I'm not ruining it by not making it like sexy or whatever. I don't know.
No, this was very good. I'm very happy with this. I mean, it's like going to play this with you is like, okay, I know they're not going to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get hot and steamy with this one, but I know they can bring the drama, and that I think is the big fun of this.
Yeah. No, it was good. I mean, we can do comments and kudos just for two of us. We just gas each other up for a while.
Yeah, high five.
Yeah.
Boom.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think I got a really solid gist of Avery very quickly. That specific, when we were like, okay, we're setting this in 2008 and we're in a deadbeat town. It's like, I know the exact type of person she is, and it came across really well in the action. Just going hiking, flannel, no raincoat. It's fine. I live here. I know this area.
Right? I did this as a kid.
Yeah.
Man, and I think, first off, you put a lot of heavy lifting with the world building and like the scene setting, and you really hit it out of the park with that. I really appreciated that.
Thank you.
And certainly the monster design, this is absolutely a game where I want people to feel like they can absolutely be like, I'm gonna play a freaking werewolf, or it's or a big wolf person. Because come on, really, out of all of you, if you're playing as a werewolf, do you really care if it turns back into human? No, you want to keep the thing as a big old freaky wolf.
Every person I know who loves Beauty and the Beast, disappointed by Human Beast, right? Every time.
Thank you. Anyway, and but I think it is, so giving that disclaimer to not have people shy away from the game if they're just like, they just want to have a big wolf guy, because like, hell yeah, but you really knocked it out of the park with the monster design. even if there was a part of me that wanted to fuck with you a little bit by saying, this is romancing the Reggie Reggie water.
Reggie Rock hot though. Ooh.
Yeah.
What them stones did.
Yeah, is this what the podcast Heat Rocks is about? But no, it was really, I really enjoyed that concept. Listen, even at the end, I want to give this thing a hug. You kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
poor thing's always crying. Like, look at what's going on around. I don't blame it.
I wonder if it's actually cognizant of the fact that it looks like a person crying. It's probably just, it exists in that state, and they're like, oh, I suppose I do look rather lachrymose. Gosh. Yeah.
Soggy rock pal.
Love to have a soggy rock pal. And like and like every in like the Neoncaster Twitch channel do a non-political tabletop RPG challenge failed once again. I'm just so tired of these politics in our tabletop games.
Yeah, can we go back to the game where we kill things to take their stuff?
Oh shit. Anyway, if you want this game, and I think if you've been with us the last 2 hours 20 minutes, you fucking want this game. So you can go get it when it releases, because it's not out yet, at least at time of recording. But going to patreon.com/willyule, as you can see above our heads and in the chat doobly-doo. And when the game releases at the lowest tier, you'll be able to receive, the game a week early. And at a higher tier than that, I believe the $5 tier, you'll just be straight up getting this juicy game once this is available. Just
slide right in your grubby paws.
You love it though. Hey, I saw a good friend and technically my boss, James D'Amato, do an article on Polygon the other day about like, hey, want to do a wider experience, learn the wider experience of tabletop RPGs if the only thing you've played before is D&D, but learning new games is scary. Ooh. And that article is basically like, hey, they're not scary. Also, Thirsty Sword Lesbians is one of the strongest ways of learning a whole bunch of different tabletop RPGs all at once, and it's about smooching. Hey, you can smooch a monster in this. It could be a Thirsty Sword Lesbian if you want, and it's $5. Thirsty Sword Lesbians is good, but also not $5. So yes, please do go and give this game a whirl, and the other games that we feature on this channel. If you would like to go and see the wide variety of tabletop RPGs that we feature, you can go to my YouTube channel. You can just search for the Neoncaster on YouTube. There might also be a link down below if you're looking on Twitch. And go check out the Cast the Dice playlist, which has a wide variety of fabulous one-shots and a number of indie tabletop RPG systems, a lot of them written by either myself or Rafi. Yes. Perfect. Thank you. I forgot I had audio to redeem straight up. It's been a while.
I know, I'll never forget.
All right. Any final thoughts before we go and pass the love on to somebody else this evening?
Stay safe, y'all. Do your best by yourself, and have a good one.
We have what we got going. Who am I saying hi to? Let's go say hi to Ira. Ira, fellow member of Black Twitch UK, non-binary streamer and tabletop enthusiast, doing some artwork. Let's go and say hello to them and pass on the love. Let me go get that going. Somebody's gonna flip the table. We can just enjoy the abyss. There we go.
Yeah, it's a nice winter background, and y'all got to see some of it. Anyway.
I have been your androgynous AI game show host from the future, Caster.
I have been your amazing agender avian co-host, Ravi the Owl.
And this has been the Neon Costa Twitch channel. We'll see you all next week. Farewell. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.